email addresses. And so I'm going to wait on sending a video until I can get until I can get all of my email addresses. I just sent my second mailer. And so in that communication, I did include in there if they would like to be part of my e-reports, you know, like my monthly electronic reports, to please send me their email addresses, just because I can't find a lot of them.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm just trying to go at it two different ways. But other than that,
you have their phone numbers, Jennifer?
I do. I have some of their phone numbers, but not all. And some
so
of
you
them
can
I don't
follow up with their phone number if you have that.
Okay.
And say that you know, kind of a follow up to your letter that you sent, and then ask them for their email right there, because somebody can do just like that. They see your text, they immediately give you back their phone, their email address and their, you know, mailing address or whatever it is that you're missing. You can do it that way. You can call them on the phone. If that is not, if you're avoiding doing calls, or you just don't feel like you're comfortable doing that at this point, and you do a few here and there. I mean, as a new agent, I think it's so much easier to like call the people that you already know that are on your side.
Yep.
And that they're going to be really nice to you than to, that's like the scariest thing. Most people don't know that about me, but I hate to like call somebody that I don't know, other than if they've been introduced to me or been referred to me. I'm just like not comfortable. And some people are. That's how they run their business. So do your comfort level, but make sure you do something.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm calling the people I know. It's the ones that I don't know that I don't want to call them, because like they came to me from another friend of a friend, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm trying to do a little bit differently, because I don't want to come at them too much.
Yeah, exactly. And when they come to you through a friend, always in your communication, you should somehow mention that friend. You know, I ran into Jane the other day, and you know, she was telling me that, you know, you guys got a new dog, or I don't know, just some kind of like keep connecting people.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah. Good.
Yep.
You've already gotten your two letters done. I think that's fantastic. Yeah. So anybody else? Kylie, how are you doing all this? I see you.
I'm doing good. Actually, I'm pretty quiet, but I did send out my letter, and I actually made contact with somebody through the letter that I kind of had an idea that might be interested in selling a property soon, and she actually messaged me right away. And so I have a meeting with her on Friday. And I had a bunch of names on my database that I just didn't have contact information for. I know them, but I just didn't have that contact information. So I messaged most of them last night, and they actually gave me their contact information. So I'm going to add those too. And then my A+ person that's on my list in my database, I called that person, and she gave me like 4 referrals. And so I've got a whole bunch more to add to the list, and I'm working on what I want to do for my pop-bys, and I've got a couple phone calls to make today that I have on my list. People, I know one lady that has already mentioned that she would maybe like to buy something within the next year. And so I'm like, well, maybe I'll see if she wants to go have a cup of coffee or something and talk about that. Yeah.
So the person that gave you 4 referrals, what is your process to respond to that?
Oh goodness. Well, of course I'm going to send her a thank you, and maybe a little treat for the referral. And it's actually my daughter that gave me the referrals. So it's
okay. She gave you 4 referrals. It doesn't matter who she was.
Yeah, I know. She was like, well, but I live in Lincoln, Mom. And she goes, you wouldn't want me to refer people from Lincoln. And I said, well, that'd be okay. And she's like, oh, okay. So, but the people that she gave me the referrals for are actually closer to me. They're actually in this area. So I was like, well, if you can think of anybody else. And so I'll add them to my list, and of course, get right on those too as well.
So a practice that many of us do, and you guys can also grab hold of this in a way that it works for you. but I buy scooters cards, $5 and $10 scooter cards by the like 20, 40 at a time. And I have all this stuff like right next to me where I do my working. I have all my personal notes are already like they're already stamped, and I have my return address label on them, and a card is in it with one of my business cards inside. And then I use these little, and I think I'm out of them, but no, these little things right here where it says like they're just little pop open cards. This one says you're awesome. It's all bent, so I'm not gonna use it. And then they pop it open, and inside is always a little message. There is no equal to you. And Bhagavad Gita was the person who said that. So they're just these little cards, and you can get, this one says you're awesome, but you can get them that say lots of things on the front. I order them by the box, and it's on the back, it says celebrating you. And then you can write a little note. So I stick those in the cards also. And then if they have given me a referral, I stick in one of the scooters cards. If it's an out of town person, agent that's in another marketplace, I use Starbucks cards. So if you have them, so you have to buy them like a couple $100 at a time, but then you have them, and immediately upon the referral, not the results, but when you get the referral, whether it closes or doesn't close, you're rewarding the activity. And that's number one, most important, is you reward that activity, and the activity stays even if the people don't close. So, and then
I was pretty tickled to get referrals already. So
yeah. So just remember that piece of like immediately you write them a note immediately, or if you can't take the time to write the note right then, just address the envelope or put their name on an envelope with a note in it. So that's good, really good. So you got some momentum going. Fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for the suggestion. That's nice. She'll love that.
Yeah. You can get other things too. If people send me gift cards, I just keep them, because I get a lot of gift cards to things like something steakhouse. I don't eat meat, so I don't eat steak. So I save them. I got a couple of $50 ones from my insurance guy because I referred people to him, and I love that because I can use those as well. So you just keep them. Tim, don't you have like a whole bunch of?
I recycle them. Yeah, when people give me business, even if when they give me a gift card, even though I might want to keep it or use it, I just put it back in my pile because I need to give away gifts so often.
I do the same thing. We actually used them at our client party one year, and I had probably $1,000 worth of gift cards that I had saved up, and then we used them to give away for random stuff in our client party. So that's one thing to remember. All right. So the other thing that he said on last week's was real estate ready tasks. And those are something that you have in your homework each week. This one I thought was really, really something that I wanted to mention to you guys is study the market. RPR, remember we've had RPR classes. You can get information from there. OABR just sent out their updated information. Tim, there's a note, so if you want to look at that while I'm talking. But know the market. Not only just know this market, know the market immediately around us, Iowa, and actually in the national level. The more you read and know about the market, the more competent you're going to look. So every day you should be doing something that increases your visibility on your being caring and competent and compassionate, and any of the other things that you want to relay to people. So knowing the market is like really important, and I would do that, some form of that every day. Reading different circulars. I read several different things. Inman is one. Inman Connect. It says it costs $199 a year, but it's not $109. If you actually like call them, you can get it for $99 a year as a realtor. So that probably to me is one of the best things that I read. RAS Media, and then anything that comes from realtor.com and your local OABR, the one from Lincoln, Swire, whatever it is. So That's a really important piece. And that's part of my lead generation piece that I do during the day. Tim, do you have anything else that you read or that you
No, I use the ones you just said, Inman. That's
and different networking that you're on Facebook. That's also something that keeps you knowing things to talk about. Outside the establishing relationships is another thing that they were talking about. Build established relationships with lenders and green title. Have all of you met the green title people or talked to them in any way? So Tim, that's one of the things that we're going to have on here. But even before then, if you can reach out and, meet somebody from, just chat with them, introduce yourself, and have a conversation with them. They don't usually have a lot of time, but I think it's pretty soon, next month, we'll have Nate, probably Nate, be on the call, and also with lenders. Do you all have lenders that you're using now? Like a couple, 2, 3 lenders that you know and have met? Okay. And so you have relationships with lenders, that not just one, but maybe 2 or 3 that you can use. So constantly re-upping your commitment in those relationships is the other thing that Brian suggested that starts happening and continues to be happening right now. So any other input on that before we go into the
Carol?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about RPR?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, so I got a chance to dive into that this last week a bit. And I watched April Tucker had done the ATA on RPR a bit.
Yeah.
There is a lot to RPR. Holy smokes, like trying to figure it all out. Is there anything like, where would I access a little bit more of a basic overview of RPR? Does anybody come across that or know where to access? There were some training videos, and I did watch some of those, but yeah, that was just kind of on my mind, because holy smoke, when I got in there, it's pretty amazing stuff. It's just a matter of kind of navigating it.
I think the way that April presented it, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody who saw that also, was the basic, as easy as possible, but also knowing that there's a lot of different uses for it. I think at this point, it's difficult to really use the expanded versions that they offer, particularly in using it for marketing. I think basic is exactly what you need, but if there's no video on basic, I'll see if I can find something. You can ask April, shoot her off an email and just ask her if there's some basic videos.
Yeah, actually, so she did. That's right. I'm glad that you mentioned that. She did send me a tutorial. I can put it in the chat if anybody wants to see the tutorial that she sent me too.
Yeah.
Yes, please. I'm sorry, I forgot I had done that a while back.
So Scott asked about, this may not be the platform for this question, but I'm having a hard time with the bulk postage. If there is no time in this meeting, will it be available today to walk me through that process? Not me. I have never touched bulk mail, but there are people who can help you with it. And we are actually going to have an ATA. And if you hang on a second, I will tell you the date of the ATA. It's in March. By the way, tomorrow's ATA is going to be really good, so I hope you guys jump on. Tim, you want to tell them a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. I'll talk about it. Although I'm still in the process of writing it. It's about the Bob list, our businesses, our internal business list, which is all referral based. It's not a paid list. And I'm basically having an ATA to kind of reinvigorate it. And it's been around since we started. Nothing's gone wrong, but we just haven't talked about it that much. So it's time to blow some new life into it. And then also talk about how we can leverage it. How do you leverage businesses for more business for yourself? Both our Bob list and your own vendor lists. And then at the end of it, we will be talking. We have several people chiming in that are going to share their experiences with BNI and other BNI type groups and how they leverage their business relationships. So I'll be a full hour just talking about how to leverage your business relationships.
And March 18th is EDDM and bulk postage, bulk mailing, bulk postage. It's Don Grimshaw, Sam Hemphill, who is our assistant that actually does it. And she does a lot of it, like probably 6,000 at a time. So it will be her, and then somebody else is going to help too, but it's March 18th.
That'll be a good one.
I know that's a long time to wait. In between, you might want to reach out and call. I know Stephanie Schroeder is really, really good at it. That's why she quit being our assistant, because she hated doing it all the time. I think we've lost 3 assistants because they hated doing EDDM and bulk mailing. So yeah. So and Katie, did you have a question here? April didn't send the RPR tutorial. She sent me the blog for the home snap. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. But I know if you log into RPR and create an account, there is a section with tutorials. There's so much. I was just trying to figure out how to weed it all out. So
yeah, exactly. So this week's the how to be a goal getter. Let's talk about goals and the importance of goals. Tim, would you like to speak a little bit about goal setting? And you're really good at this.
Yeah, I mean, goal setting is just such. I'm sorry, what?
Just give a little, just a little description of it versus the kind of goal setting that people usually think that we're talking about. It's like every year, like what's your every year people have, like, well, this is my New Year's resolution. It's not the same as goals. So
no, it's totally different.
Just speak to it.
Yeah, business goals. I mean, you always want to set up your business goals for the, for the full year, knowing that things are going to change. You don't know exactly what you're going to hit your mark. I will say, over the years, I've always had to decide which kind of goals you want to do. Do you want to do goals based on production, goals based on number of transactions? Some people want to do goals on increasing their average dollar or average sale price. Thousands of different ways. One thing Carol really gets involved in at the beginning of the year, although I don't know if you've done it the last couple of years, is vision boards and vision boarding goals, because that's a very strong thing. I can get into a rabbit hole about that. But yeah, goal setting is critical. Are we going to be doing any goal setting exercises?
Yeah, it looks like it. As we get a little farther, I think. Let's see. Looks like maybe like into week 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I think along the way, what he's trying to do with the basic 100 Days to Greatness program is establish a platform for having just a discipline for setting goals. So it's unbelievable when you think about setting goals, is that, and it's proved so true to me over so many years, is I always thought, well, now I don't want to set a goal, because if I don't reach it, I'll be disappointed. And then I'll be even like, it'll depress me to be disappointed. So I would not set actual goals, or, maybe make a little wish in my head, but not really actually do it. And I remember hearing that if you think something, if you share it with somebody else and you put it down on paper, that you have like a 90% chance of reaching those goals, no matter how lofty they are, if you actually do that. And then beyond that, like if you set 1 week goals, remember the win the day formula, just one, what are you going to do today? What's your goal for today? How many weeks can you do that? If you only do, 2 or 3 weeks, yes, you still have a chance of reaching your goals. It's little increments. And that's the point of accountability, which I'm going to talk about that a little bit too, because I want to make sure that you guys understand the referral maker, the indications that come from you keeping track of what you're doing on Referral Maker. And I know it's a pain in the ass to have to go back and track and show what you've done. But once you get all of your Referral Maker database set up, you have all this information like what you're talking about. I need to get their phone number. I need to get their email. I need to get their address. Once you've got all that in there and you start actually setting people up on campaigns and on just a regular basis of touching base with them, you will be putting that information in there. I went into the to my side of it's kind of the back end of what you guys are doing, and there's a few of you who have kept track, but not very many of you. So I want you to take a look at your tracking reports, and because I get the other side of it, I'm not rating anybody on it. You're not going to get a grade on it, but it will help you, because if you start tracking and putting in your transactions, your possible transactions, your closed transactions, you look back on it and you go like, oh my God, I did so well. I've been doing Buffini for 19 years, so I've been going to their events for that many years. Every single event that you go to, or the ones that even are going to be online, he has you do goal setting at the close to the end of it. And sometimes I'm like, shit, I don't want to do this. But every single time he plays this really nice music, and you sit there and you write down goals. You write down 30, 90 day, year out. Sometimes it even takes you 5 years out. It's a pain to do it. And sometimes it's hard. It's very hard when you start doing it, because it's hard to think that and imagine that you could go from having, which many people have done this, go from having $100,000 in credit card debt to 5 years later having $100,000 in the bank and everything paid off. But that actually is possible if you actually are following the systems that keep your activities going, that build your business and that create wealth. And it is possible. I've looked back on, from the first times that I went, looked back on the workbooks that I keep, all of them. Tim, you probably have had this same experience. And from year to year, I'm like, oh my God, I actually did do that. Like when I wrote that down, I was like spitting in the wind. It was something I hoped for, but I never ever thought that I could accomplish that. So
really quick about the tracking. One of the reasons that Carol was so pushing about how important the tracking is. Sorry, I'm going to get a light from my desk so we won't.
Yeah, because you're black.
I'm aware. Today we're just going to have to deal with it, but I'm going to do it. Is it helps you figure out how many touches and what type of touches you need in order to get referrals. So I can tell you from now, I will admit, I don't track like I used to because I got my system in place, but I knew it took me about 10 touches, 10 qualified touches meaning that I'm calling a client, I'm having an engaging conversation, I'm mentioning working by referral. That's what I called as a touch. For every 10 of those, I would get one referral. For every 5 referrals, I know I would close one. So I knew 50 touches equals 1 sale. That's the number you need to know. And you need to know what that number is for you, because it's going to be different for everybody. So.
And it changes over the years. So where it took 5 referrals to get 1 closing, like for me now, it takes 2.1 referrals to get 1 closing. And at one time it would take 6 or 7 referrals to get 1 closing. But as you keep on sorting, qualifying people, and you get down to having A+s that give you referrals, and the quality of the referrals that you get are so good. A lead is not a referral. A Zillow, I don't even call that a lead. I call that a inquiry.
Yeah.
Is that the word, Tim?
I think that's right. That's what Brian called it. I think it's inquiry.
Yeah, inquiry. So you can go from inquiry to lead to actual referral. When I get a referral from one of the quality people who refer to me, they don't even call in any other agents to compete against me. I can't tell you the last time I competed. This whole last year, I competed 1 time. And that was only because I actually had the listing, and their neighbor across the street was a realtor and came over and undercut. They waited until I gave them everything. They were gonna sign the contract, and the realtor across the street from another company came in and said, I saw that you had a realtor there. I'm a realtor. I've sold 5 houses in this neighborhood, which they had not. That was the only time all year that I had to compete. So what we're talking about is getting to a place where you're not competing with anybody other than yourself anymore. And that's where
I want to quickly share a story that I think these guys will appreciate, although Rhonda's already heard it. I like Carol says, I often don't compete. I go on listing appointments. I was referred. I'm not competing, and so I usually don't have commission pressure. I will start off by telling you, for me, when it's over 400,000, I might be more willing to negotiate on that commission because I normally charge 6%. So I'm just telling you, going into it, higher price properties, it's reasonable to go down to 5.5 or whatever you choose to do. But I went on this appointment, had a great meeting, and then the lady emailed me about a week later and just said, "What's your commission?" And I was like, "Oh crap! You don't do that in an email." But I answered it with, reiterating all the services I provided, and then of course I didn't hear from her for about a week. So I called her and I said, knowing that pressure is on, and I just started talking to her, and she said, she goes, "We're getting a lot of pressure now that everybody knows we're moving. We're getting calls like crazy and people are throwing numbers at us and yada, yada, yada." But I hadn't met her husband, because when I first met them, the husband was out of town because they're moving for his job. Anyway, so I immediately scheduled a follow-up meeting for the next day. We met and we talked. I met him. We talked all about our what I'm going to do to market the home, how commissions worked, how when we reduce the commission on the list side, that you're actually not reducing the commission on the buy side, but you're actually just taking it out of your own pocket. And I went through the whole, I went through the spiel of what I do to market homes. I also said that, part of my ability, my job is that you're hiring me to negotiate for you, to negotiate as best as I possibly can. And if I'm starting off off the bat, not negotiating for myself, how am I going to protect you when I'm negotiating your deal? And of course, those things can roll off your tongue. So we had a great meeting. All these other people were telling them they were going to sell their house for 5%. I reluctantly said 5.5, but I specifically told them, because this is what I always say, don't choose me over commission. Choose me over because you like what I'm doing. Don't choose me over commission, because it's really important to me. Anyway, about 2 hours later, I got a call back and they decided to go with me, and they wanted to go with me at 6%, even though I had agreed to go lower. And it's because I was able to articulate why they needed to pay full price and what my services were going to be. And they didn't want my services to be discounted when we did the work. So I just wanted to say, so that was an example of how I was willing to negotiate a little bit, but I didn't have to.
And you know what that actually is, you guys, just remember this. That's a dress rehearsal for how you're going to operate selling their home. They just gave you an opportunity to do that. So here's something that I know is a tough situation. And Tim, like Tim said, they asked him on email. First of all, you don't really want to deal with that. Tim did a great job of dealing with it that way, but they could have gone away. If he hadn't have followed up and done his value proposition, that's what it's called. But when they ask you, like on the phone, because I will always ask them like what they think, I say to them, like, what do you think? Where do you think your house is going to be? Kind of the range that you think your house is going to be. Because I know you've been watching your neighborhood, and I know you've been looking at numbers and looking on Zillow. In your head, so I have some place to establish, a goal here. Where do you think your house is? And they don't always give me that answer back of, well, that's your job. You're the one that's supposed to do it. And if they do, I just say, I know it's my job and I want to be spot on with it, but I want to know where you're coming from. And 99% of the time they'll tell you before you ever walk into their house, you need to know what they're thinking. So that's number one, and one of the number one things. But as far as what Tim said about your commission, when they ask you that, and when you're talking about commission and negotiating, agents sometimes think they have to go a whole percentage point. You don't have to go a whole percentage point if you're going to discount your commission. You can go 0.5%. You can go 1/4%. You can make other kinds of, you can have other kinds of conversations that say, you know what, if I bring the buyer, I'll reduce it by 0.5%. If I, whatever, like there's other things that you can do besides just be like 6%, or don't begin to discount your services. That's the one thing I will tell you is you start discounting your services, and guess what happens when that same person refers you to somebody else? They tell them that you discounted your services.
And then that's what a reputation is. And you get calls for that. I will say that was an example of how I was able to articulate what it is I was going to do. And they clearly heard it and wanted to pay for it. And it also goes to show you that everybody's always looking for a deal, but if you can just sit down and have a conversation with them and you can articulate what your value, you'll pay off. So I'll give you more tips and stuff on how I do those things as this class goes through.
So one of the things that you had this week in your and Kathy, I think you said you already did this, but you're ahead, is you had the exercise that was just called Just Imagine. Remember that exercise? And you had to imagine, and I think he had you go out 90 days, correct? Was it the Just Imagine? Did you fill it out? You guys all have your books in front of you? Did you fill it out in your book? Okay.
I don't know that it necessarily says a timeline. Maybe that is what he was referencing. I kind of just went out. However, I wasn't specific on a timeline.
Well, I think in the video, I remember him saying 90 days. So, and that's perfectly fine. But I want you to go out a year. I want you guys to do this again. And I'm going to give you like 5 minutes. 3, 4, 5 minutes to do that. But I want you to do it again. And I want you to go out a year after this conversation. I want you to go out a year, and I want you to speak to not just where your business will be in a year, but where you will be in a year. For instance, Katie, when you're just imagining, I know you're quitting your job in May that you've had for how many years? Oh, hang on just a second. Hold on.
Sorry, I was muted. Right around 20 years. Yeah.
Girl.
Yep. Well, I'm kind of old, so.
You don't look it. That's still impressive. You don't have to, aren't you in the school system?
I am. Yep. I'm a school counselor, school psychologist, school counselor. Mm-hmm.
It's interesting how many people are quitting their school-related jobs this year.
Well, in our 100 Days of Greatness Facebook group, there was actually a gal that just posted saying that she was a teacher and that she was leaving. And there was like 5 of us, I think, who then in turn were like, me too, me too.
Yep.
So,
it's one of those things. Pardon? Sorry.
Unfortunately, I guess, it doesn't, but yeah.
I've always said that, some businesses, real estate is the most amazing second career. It is primarily most people's second career. It's not their first. Even me, this was not my first career. I was in the food and beverage industry. And most people, a lot of people that translate really well as school teachers or in the school industry, nurses, and food and beverage. They translate into real estate very well.
Hey, you guys, my dog was outside and couldn't get in, and she's freezing, so I need to go take care of her.
Okay, we'll talk.
Will you just take it for the rest of it?
Yeah, we can deal with it. So, that poor dog. They've had an accident with the dog before. Anyway, so I'll have to look to see what the rest of the conversation is for our. I'm going to look here so we can wing it. Where were we?
I had kind of a random question.
Yeah, bring it on.
Sorry, do you mind?
Not at all. Are you kidding?
A burning one for me. So my question is so with our Buffini referral maker. So I've been spending a lot of time, getting my contacts into there. I plan to continue just with the subscription, even after the class is done, just so I'll have it. But now, Tim, I know like our brokerage offers Zap too.
Mhm.
So I guess I'm a little bit confused as far as, 'cause I know like in talking to Ethan, he said like he'll get his reviews through Zap. But how does that translate, or how do we?
Welcome
Sorry,
to the
if this
club.
is Pearl, you can say, Katie, I need to answer that another time because
No,
I
no,
know.
no, no, no. Actually, that's a very good question. Actually, it's a good question in this class. The Buffini CRM is honestly the best one. It's got the most organization for dealing with your clients. Now, it doesn't have the robust drip campaigns that Zap has, albeit very complicated. My real answer, my real suggestion for you would be to do both for now.
Okay.
And I know that sounds hard, but really if you did one of the CRMs, like if you did Buffini CRM and made sure that was all current, then once you know it's current, downloaded that CVS, put it in Zap or vice versa, whatever. And then from then on, you have to update them both. Now, that is not the good answer. I hate to tell you that answer, but at the moment, it's a product of two different CRMs that are doing two different good jobs. Now, they are working to redo Zap again. So what happened was Better Homes and Gardens bought Zap for like $156 million. They spent all this time and money into it, and it was a huge failure. Now, since then, they have done a lot of changes to it and a lot of upgrades to it, and it's gotten better, but it's not perfect. They are supposed to be completely revamping it all over again sometime soon, like this year. I don't know. And it's supposed to be spectacular. So until then, all I can say is use two different CRMs. And I hate to say that. Carol, is your dog okay?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. She was like freezing. She had stuff all over her feet. And I don't know how long she's been out there, but we have an electric door that their collar operates. For some reason,
Frozen.
it froze. So yeah, she came in just freaked out. So I just put the hairdryer on her.
Right now, dishwashers are the most common thing freezing right now because they get frozen in the back of the wall.
Oh, really? Huh.
It's a real common problem.
Did not
Best
know
thing there, just to leave it and let
Yeah.
it fall.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry. That was
No, it was all
You're
good.
so funny.
Pretty much you were gone for one conversation. Katie started asking about CRMs and
Okay.
the age-old question of which one do I use, Buffini's or Zaps? And
Yeah.
I kind of said the bad news of at the moment, use both,
So
Buffini's is better.
Let's do that just imagine exercise out 1 year.
Okay.
And then when you guys are done, come back, and at noon we'll be back. We'll be on for mentor.
Oh, I see. So do you want to log off or just leave this on?
No, just leave it on. Just
Okay.
Tim is hiding. Oh, there you
All right.
All right, everybody's back. Cameras on, and we're gonna let Raquel take the biggest part of this.